Hello everyone, this is Udaditya from TechSpark. I have been working in data engineering domain for almost 9 years with various projects and involved in creating data pipelines for several clients. I also train candidates in this field to help them build an interview-ready profile with a comprehensive course covering all the necessary topics of data engineering. In today's session, we're going to discuss the different types of tables that are present in Hive. Primarily, there are two types of tables that are present in Hive. One is the internal table, which is also referred to as managed table. The other one is the external table. Now, the reason why the internal table is called the managed table is because Hive not only owns the data but also manages its life cycle. The data will be stored in the Hive warehouse directory, which is set to user Hive warehouse path by default in HDFS. This directory is also known as the Hive metastore. Now, the work or the operation of Hive metastore is to manage the schema. Whatever data that will be either HDFS or in the Hive table, all the schema and each and every metadata will be put into Hive metastore warehouse. Now, in case of internal tables, the actual data will also be residing in the same directory. But there is a catch with the data lifecycle. Is when you delete a table or you drop the table metadata and the underlying data both are deleted from the warehouse. So you cannot have the data after you delete the table or even drop the table. Use case would be when you want Hive should take the full responsibility of the table and its data, you want to fully refresh and reload the data in a frequent manner, then only you can use the internal table. One must understand that we cannot update or delete any particular record from Hive, as Hive is part of the Hadoop data lake, and the data lake doesn't support the feature of any ACID transformations such as update delete, since Hive also doesn't support any sort of update or deletion of particular record. However, by dropping the table, we can delete the whole data, but we cannot edit or modify any particular records. Now coming to external table, in case of external table, Hive only manages the table metadata and not the data itself, as the data will be residing as a user specified location outside the Hive warehouse directory. Now we can simply put the data in any location in HDFS and create a table on top of that. In that case, Hive will only store the metadata or the schema information of that data. We can simply drop the table and still the data will be intact in that same HDFS location. We can create the table again and then the same data will be present to us in the same table. Use case will be when the data is shared across multiple systems when a Hive should not delete the data, such as log files, external data sources. In real world project, when we deal with the day-to-day data, we usually create the external table, as accidentally if someone deletes the table, the data underlying in the HDFS location will still be intact. Now let us go through one example of how it looks like. So I have my HDFS cluster in my local system, and over here I have also started my Hive metastore. So I will log into my Hive console and show you the different types of table. To get into the Hive console, you simply have to type Hive and then press enter. You'll see for each and every session there will be a session ID generated against it. Now I'm going to use my database, that is the use database. Sorry, that is the use data hub. That's my database that I'm using. If I want to see what are all the databases that are present, I can simply run the query show databases. The default is the database that will always be present whenever you install Hive on your local system. Data Hub is the database that I created for my own purpose, and I want to use that one only for the moment. If I want to see the tables that are present inside the database, I will run the query show tables. Now over here, I see 3 tables are present inside the Data Hub database. One is the social circle part, and user data int. For this session, I'm going to be using the user data int. It's an internal table and it's a Parquet format data. First, let me query out the data and see how it looks like. So I'm going to run a select star query on the table, limit it to 5, so I don't have to scan all the rows. As you can see, there are some columns present inside the user data internal, and if you want to see the schema, you simply do dsc format it, the table name, through which you can find out the column names and the schema present behind it. So these are the columns. These are the column names that are present for the table, such as registration date, ID, first name, last name, email, and so on. Now by default, if I try to select any select any data out of table, the header doesn't show up. Let me show that again. So from here, I cannot understand the underlying columns behind this data. To enable the header, there is a command through which we can do it, which is set hive.cli.print.header equals to true. After running this query, again if I do a select star, this time I can see the columns are present. Now I forgot to show you one thing, is the location of this internal table, which is the most significant topic in this session. Now if you see the location, it is showing an HDFL location which is pointing to the Hive warehouse directory. Now in the slide, you can see the default is set to /user/hive/warehouse. And over here, you can see the same path being pointing to it. Under the warehouse directory, you'll see the database name and then the table name, which is the data hub and the user data int. Now, as I said, there's a drawback with the internal table is that the Hive manages completely owns the data as well as the metadata over here. If you drop the table, in that case, the data underlying in this path will also be gone. Let me try that. To drop the table, I will simply do a drop table command. Now the table is dropped. Let me try to do a select query, and it is showing table not found. Now, to check what happened in the HDFS location, let me just go over there. So I copied this path. I will get out of this Hive console, and I will list out the directory content of the same path. To list out any path inside Hadoop, it is hdfsdfs-ls. I'll give my path and press enter. So you see, under this database, there is no table present because there was only one internal table that was the user data int, and now we have dropped it. Had it been there other user internal data table, had it been there other internal tables, in that case, those would have been listed in the same path. Now let me go back to the Hive console. And show you the same table as an external table, show you the same data with an external table. I have my query ready over here. I will copy this and create the table. Now, if you try to highlight the query, there are some differences. One difference is that I am putting a keyword called external over here. Now, whenever I'm trying to create an external table, obviously I have to put this keyword external. Otherwise, Hive will create an internal table automatically. One more thing over here, the location I'm giving is simply a different location than that of the metastore or the warehouse directory. Now I know my packet data is present in this HDFS / data location. So I'm just going to create a metadata on top of this actual data. I know these are the columns that will be present for the data. So that's why I have created my create external table query accordingly. And now let me create the table. The table has been created. Now let me query this table. But before that, let me enable the header over here. The header has been enabled. Now let me do a select star on the external table. It is saying table not found. Okay, I forgot to give the database name over here. My bad. Now I see the database. Sorry, now I see the table over here. Now, if I don't want to put the database name, I should obviously use the use database command. In that case, even without the database name, I can simply do the select star query. So there it is. Now let me do a DSC formatted and show you how it is different from the internal table that I just showed you. So this time now you see the location is pointing to the actual data path instead of the warehouse directory. Now what will happen if I drop the table? Should the data be present in this directory or should it be removed? Let me try it. The table is dropped. If I try to do a select star, it is showing the table not found. Now let me go over to the HDFS location and find out what happened with my data. I will get off the Hive console by pressing Ctrl Z and then do an hdfs dfs -ls command on the same path. So now you see my user data.parquet, which is the actual data residing in the Hadoop path, is still there. So data is still intact. So I can simply create the table on top of it and then again I can use it. So that is the advantage of having external table instead of internal table, that even if you drop the data, it is still the actual data will still be intact. Now you must be wondering, how did I set up the Hive and the Hadoop cluster locally? I'm not paying a single penny for that. If you try to create a EMR cluster or any other cloud services where you're going to use the Hive or Hadoop, in that case, you have to pay some amount over there. But it is possible in the local also, creating a Linux-like environment and also setting up the Hadoop and the Hive cluster. To know more and to find all these kind of technicalities, please reach out to TechSpark. We cover all the necessary tools in our data engineering course, such as Spark, Hadoop, Hive, AWS, with hands-on coding and real-world project. We will help you setting up all sorts of Hadoop, Hive, or even Spark in your local system, and you can get started with your hands-on coding. Signing off for now. See you on the next session. Bye.
Contact us for the free job assistance. We will help you to get the IT job. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel for more regular updates from TechSpark.